What do be crew? It's your boy Savon Thomas, back in another episode of Coffee and Comments. Today we're going to review the movie Napoleon. Was it good? Was it bad? Let's talk about it, but first, let's take a sip. Welcome back, Bean Crew. Again, this is a review of the movie Napoleon. For me, I really enjoyed it. I thought the movie was very well done. My only complaint, though, I have a couple of different complaints, but my biggest complaint was I thought they would do more of a full biopic of Napoleon, from childhood, this is Napoleon's childhood to his death. And it really just started from where he rose to prominence, which was the French Revolution. And so that's kind of I was like, man, I wish I would have known more. Because the stuff they talk about with Napoleon is kind of already known about him to an extent, right? You know the different battles he's in, kind of how his life played out. But I wish they would have told kind of the backstory of childhood and where it came from. Because he rose to prominence through the ranks of the military. And this movie kind of focuses specifically on that. And really it focuses on his relationship with his wife, Josephine, and how that plays out in everything that went down with the battles and all the different letters he wrote Josephine. And so that's my second complaint, I would say, is just I wish if they focused more on the battles versus the relationship. I felt like I was watching, I wouldn't call it a romantic movie, but it was just it was more of the backstory of the relationship between Napoleon and Josephine and that conflict and that toxic relationship than it was the wars. The wars were a background to the story. The wars were a background to Josephine and different things going on with them. Every single thing they were doing, they really didn't talk about he was in Egypt for many years. The time frame kind of got sped up. But he was in Egypt. They showed one fight for a little bit, him blowing up the different statues and things like that. But there wasn't anything that talks about what went down in Egypt, right? How what kind of conquest did he take? You know what I mean? So that was my thing for the movie. I'm for me as a person who loves history, I wanted more of a history story. But it was good to see the love story between him and his wife, and it wasn't his wife, the Empress Josephine, because I didn't know much about her. I've only studied so much of the French history and the Italian history and the English history. More English because of the ties to America, but really France's history, I know to some extent, but not to a huge extent. So for me to know about Napoleon's wife I didn't really know. So that the counterpoint to my gripe is that they'll tell a backstory that for me as a person I had no clue on. Who Josephine was, her background, and he really loved her, even though the relationship was toxic, even though they both cheated on each other, which I feel that was kind of the norm for at least guys back then. If a girl took a different lover, it was kind of whoa. But if a guy took a different lover, it was you kind of expect that from an emperor or a king. You know what I mean? So that story, that love story between them was very interesting to see. On top of the war, because it told about the man Napoleon, and he was just he kind of had an Oedipus complex, right? If you know what that is, the love of his mother. He needs the love of a woman to fuel him to be great. Which a lot of men are like that. Not gonna say it's just him, but in this movie, that's kind of how it looked like. Is Josephine was the catalyst to him succeeding, if that makes sense. Without her, there would have been nothing with no Napoleon. It's not a bad thing. But overall, the movie's good. I thought good action. I mean, good. There warlike good scenes. Once Josephine dies, unfortunately. It happens to everybody, but when she does die, they do show more of the battle, especially Waterloo, which is the big battle he lost. But there was a lot of stuff that I learned throughout the movie about the French Revolution. My biggest question, though, my biggest thing I thought about too, is how did some of these people live on the front lines? Could you be a person on the front lines? Because watching this movie, you have drummer boys on the front lines drumming and just walking casually into battle, right? You have people on the front lines with their bayonets holding them, walking towards the enemy. The enemy is shooting their bayonets, They are shooting cannons. You keep on walking. You're just walking into battle. Guy to your right, he's got his leg blown off with the cannon. Guy to your left, he's got shot in the head. But you gotta keep on walking. The way they did battle back then was so crazy to me, because for me, I'm like, bro, if I'm gonna go into battle, I am shooting. Put me on the third row, the fourth row, the fifth row. I want to be the first guy to get picked off, like in the very beginning. Could you do that? Like, that was my thought. Like, I was like, bro, I could have been the guy in the front row, because I would have been like, no, I'm not gonna sit here and just get picked off. Like, if I'm gonna fight in this war, I want to go out historically. Like, I want to go out with some type of like dignity. Like, I don't want to be the guy that just got, picked off in the very front of the battle. I want to at least like have some bloodshed. It was a point in the movie that I literally was like, bro, I couldn't have been these guys in the front, because I would have been like, bro, move me to the back, because I'm trying to fight. Like, if I'm gonna be out here, if I'm gonna be drafted, if I'm gonna defend my country, I have to be out here. I'm gonna fight, and I don't want to just die, just a meaningless death, if that makes sense. When I was watching this movie, I was literally scrolling on my phone trying to like look up like history, like confirming some of these events, because I want to see how the backstory of this movie kind of lines up with the true story, right, of what happened with Napoleon. Like, are they fibbing? Are they exaggerating some points? Are they like, what's going on here? And they hit on most of the stuff that I read, so that was pretty cool to see that this movie is historically accurate to an extent. I'm sure some people that are way more inclined and know more about the French Revolution and Napoleon's story might have some gripes with the story. But overall, for just a general viewer, somebody who wants to learn more and that was interested in the history, it was fantastic. Joaquin Phoenix is the main actor of this movie. He plays Napoleon. He did a great job, right? The actress that plays Josephine, I don't know her name, but she did a great job as well. Overall, it's a great movie, great story, very enjoyable. It is 2 hours and 36 minutes, which can seem long, but the way they were progressing throughout the entire story, you didn't feel like it. Like, I looked up and I was like, dang, I've been at theater for a long time. Like, my movie time was at 5:40, with trailers probably like 5:50 is when it kicked off. I got out at 8 o'clock, which is crazy to think about, but it didn't feel like I was sitting in the chair for that long. It literally went by pretty quickly. So, good movie. Check it out. I give this movie an 8.2 out of 10. I will put this on the medium dark roast scale of things. I wouldn't put it dark roast just yet. I mean, it's not like a must see and go watch it, but I would add it to your watch list. Like, if you have some time, go watch it in theaters or whenever it comes out, stream it. It's a good movie to watch. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Appreciate you guys for tuning in to the episode of Coffee and Comments.